Alright, hello everybody, Friendly Red here, ready to peruse through some news for the first time in 2026. Sony held a new State of Play presentation today, February 12th, full of new trailers for upcoming games, alongside a smaller, but still exciting, amount of wholly new reveals as well. I wanted to take some time to go through everything in the show that caught my eye and piqued my interest. So, let's not waste any more time and get into some news perusing, shall we? The show opened with the reveal of Kena, Scars of Kazumora, sequel to 2021's Kena, Bridge of Spirits. Anyone else remember this awesome fan-made Majora's Mask animation from... oh man, that was 10 years ago? Yep, the team behind that animation, and many more, Ember Labs, eventually went on to make their very own video game, that being none other than Kena, Bridge of Spirits. While I've personally not gotten to Kena myself, it's a game I certainly intend to get to at some point, as it looks right up my alley. The gameplay reminds me of a PS2-era 3D platformer or action-adventure game, like the Sly Cooper or Jak and Daxter trilogy of titles, and the overall style and presentation is insanely impressive to behold, with the cinematics in particular sharing a similar level of quality and polish that you'd see from any big feature-length animated film being put out by Pixar or other massive animation studios. It's all undoubtedly impressive work. I'm happy to see the team continue on with a sequel here. While we didn't get to see too much with the reveal, this is looking like a sequel done right. The vibrant style, colors, and amazingly animated and high-quality cinematics returning for Scars of Kazumora, along with a much larger new world to explore and refined and expanded combat too. A very strong start for the show, and I'm definitely going to be keeping this one on my radar. Perhaps once we have a finalized release date for the sequel here, I'll finally make my way through the original game in preparation for the launch, but for now, we'll move on with the rest of the highlights. Before we get into the heavy hitter, personal highlights and final reveals of the show, I'm going to touch on some of the new trailers we got for already announced and upcoming titles that made up the majority of the State of Play. There were a few wholly new reveals sprinkled in here as well, but for the most part, a large chunk of these were for games that were or already are known quantities, so I may not have a lot to say or add to the discussion with some of them. I'm going to also try and stick to the order in which these trailers were revealed, which means we'll start this section with the trailer for Ghosts of Yotei Legends, the free co-op multiplayer mode coming to Ghosts of Yotei next month. This was a mode that developer Sucker Punch also added into Ghosts of Tsushima via a free update after its launch, and we did already know this mode was coming even before Ghosts of Yotei released, so this isn't like some out of left field, earth-shattering announcement. I actually never played the Legends mode for Tsushima, as I didn't, and still don't, pay for PS Plus or play any kinds of multiplayer games on PlayStation, so while I thought it was a cool addition in that game, as is its introduction into Yotei, I'm personally not going to be checking this one out, at least on PS5. If or when Yotei ever makes its way to PC, and I have some friends that pick up the game, I may check it out then. But for now, I'll just appreciate this one from the sidelines. Following the Legend trailer and release date, we had the announcement of the PC version of Death Stranding 2. Not a ton to say about this one, but I am glad to see that the game is making its way to PC, and much faster than the original game did. In fact, this might be the quickest we've seen a PlayStation Studios game get ported over, which is great to see, and I do hope that this means that future PS5 exclusives will make their way to PC faster as well. But I suppose we'll have to wait and see on that one. Capcom had a brief showing here in the State of Play, and while we didn't get the reveal of Devil May Cry 6, like some rumors and leaks were suggesting, we did get some new trailers for both Pragmata and Resident Evil Requiem. Obviously, as I made clear in my Red's Radar for this month, I'm already sold on Requiem, so this new trailer didn't really do anything for me, other than just increase my excitement for the game even more. But I'll still take it. Pragmata's new trailer was much shorter than Requiem's, and certainly not as action-packed, but I'm still intrigued by this game, and I'm glad it's so close to actually finally releasing after the tumultuous development it's gone through. Regardless of whatever troubles this game had in its development, I'm still expecting good things from it, given Capcom's output and quality of titles. And, for anyone who wants to know more about it, or get a taste of the game before its release in April, there is a demo out now on all the platforms the game will release on, which I may just try for myself when I get the chance. After Capcom's corner, we got the announcement of another remaster for the Legacy of Kain series, this time for Defiance, which was the last of the mainline entries, originally released back in 2003. While I find this very cool, and I'm certainly happy for the fans of the franchise, it's probably not something I'll check out for myself. I've always been greatly intrigued by the franchise, but after trying out the Soul Reaver games and the remastered collection that launched in 2024, well, they didn't really do too much for me, I regret to say. Even though the games might not have been for me, I still find the lore, world, characters, and everything about them fascinating and appealing, and perhaps I'll give them another shot at some point down the line. For now though, much like Yotei Legends, I'll just appreciate this one from afar. Quick last-minute addition here, but there was apparently another Legacy of Kain announcement that I somehow missed during the State of Play, and it's actually for a wholly new game in the series, known as Legacy of Kain Ascendance. I really don't know how I missed this one, but better late than never, I guess. As for the game itself, it's quite different from any of the prior games in the series, trading 3D action, exploration, and puzzle solving for 2D, side-scrolling combat, and platforming. I'm unsure exactly how this one will end up, but I'll probably keep it on my radar and look into it more upon its release. We may not have gotten Devil May Cry 6 in this state of play, but we did get Devil May Gravity Rush with Control Resonant, the sequel to Remedy's much beloved and mind-bending third-person shooter, Control, from 2019. This was the first we've really seen of the game since its unveil at the Game Awards back in December of 2025, and it still looks incredible. It's kind of insane to me that Remedy, of all developers, is making a character action game, but you know what? I completely trust them to deliver here with Resonant. Even though I was already sold on this game ever since we knew a sequel to Control was being made, I am really excited to experience their take on the genre. Pokemon developer Game Freak's new game, Beast of Reincarnation, made another gaming showcase appearance here at the State of Play, just 3 weeks after appearing at the Xbox Developer Direct for January of 2026. I haven't kept up with this one since its unveil last summer, but it's definitely looking a lot better than it did then, and should be a pretty sweet new action game, from the looks of it. I gotta say though, it is still cool and odd to see a game like this coming from Game Freak. It's just kind of funny to see them go from this to, well, this. But I'm not complaining. Game Freak's non-Pokemon games they've made over the years have mostly turned out great. Based on what I'm seeing here, I think, and hope, Beast of Reincarnation will be another title that they can add to that lineup. After sadly getting delayed from its initial Halloween 2025 release date, Shovel Knight developer Yacht Club Games' latest title, Mina the Hollower, finally reappeared as part of this state of play, with a new release window of spring of 2026, alongside the announcement of a limited-time demo releasing for PS5. I'm unsure if this will be the same as the demo that was available for Switch and PC last year, but regardless of if it is or not, I highly implore you to check it out. Mina the Hollower is a wonderfully made and clearly passion-filled project, and I'm so glad to know that it won't be too much longer until we can finally play it. Honestly, apart from a wholly new reveal that we'll get to a little bit later, this was my favorite announcement of the entire show, which should reiterate how much I love this game just based off the demo alone, and how excited I am for it to finally be in our hands. NEPE, the absolutely beautiful platformer adventure game from the same team behind Grizz, is getting a prologue DLC later this month. I've yet to get to NEPE, but I did greatly enjoy Grizz back when I played it in 2020, so I'm sure I'll enjoy this one too. I guess it sort of worked out having not played the game yet, as now when I get to it, I'll have the whole package available at once. 007 New Light popped up here with a new trailer. It's still looking like a great mix of developer IO Interactive's Hitman series, with the more action-heavy, cinematic narratives you'd find in something like the Uncharted games. It's looking like a winning combo to me, and even though I've never played the Hitman games, and I'm not the biggest fan of the 007 films or franchise as a whole, I enjoyed the Daniel Craig-era Bond films enough to be at least somewhat interested in this game here, though it'll probably remain on my radar for a while even after releases. I'm interested, yes, but not $70 interested, that's for sure. Let's see, what else is there? That one Fortnite skin everyone is afraid of when someone is using it is getting his own game, so that's pretty cool. Memeing aside, there's actually not really a ton to say about this one, as the reveal for this game was mostly just a pre-rendered cinematic with very, very little gameplay shown. But I do hope that this John Wick game can do justice to the character in the video game space, as I can't really say that any of the previous attempts have been all too stellar or noteworthy, really. Wrapping up our middle of the show trailer blitz extravaganza here, we had updates and new trailers for some of the soon-to-release Big Boy PlayStation Studios titles, with Marathon getting a new trailer alongside the announcement of the public server slam / test period occurring the weekend of February 26, some new details and gameplay systems shown for Saros, the spiritual successor to Returnal, and a new trailer for Marvel Tokon, Fighting Souls, showcasing some new members of the roster hailing from the X-Men side of Marvel, alongside the release date announcement of August 6. All really great and exciting announcements and trailers, for sure. Marathon is looking much better than it did back when I tested it out around this time last year, and given how much I've been enjoying Arc Raiders, I'm pretty excited to dive into this game once it launches. I may try to give it a go during the server slam, but with it being during the same weekend of Resident Evil Requiem's launch, I think most of my time and attention will be on that game. Saros is looking like a proper follow-up to Returnal in all but name, with all the same strengths that game brought to the table. Great visuals with impressive scale and architecture adorning the world, tight, responsive third-person gunplay, and an intriguing mystery and narrative that seamlessly blends into the gameplay. While I am very excited to play this one, I think I'm gonna wait for this one to hit PC before checking it out, as while I still liked what I played of Returnal on PS5, I had a much more enjoyable experience with the PC version, with the increased precision mouse and keyboard allows for, alongside the improved performance and visuals too. Still, this is no doubt going to be an amazing release for PlayStation this year, and I do look forward to checking it out in the future. Here's hoping it doesn't take too long to make its way to PC. Now, I'm not really into fighting games at all, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how truly amazing Marvel Tokon is looking. I mean, it's Arxis, and at this point, they've proven time and time again that if you want a masterclass 2D fighting game in all regards, visuals, character designs, music, mechanics, and everything else, you go to them. And Tokon is absolutely maintaining their status as the kings of the modern day 2D fighter. That should do it for the mid-show topics and highlights. So let's now move on to the Konami corner, as the company had a pretty big presence during the State of Play, and actually managed to house my favorite announcement of the entire show. They started off their segment by announcing Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2, which bundles together both Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, and Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. This collection was rumored and speculated about ever since the first volume released back in 2023, and I'm glad to see it is in fact real, and coming out later this year. It's going to be really cool to see MGS4 officially running on something other than the PS3, and Peace Walker is another great addition to the collection, but isn't nearly as exciting as MGS4, as it was already spruced up and featured in the Metal Gear Solid HD collection back on the PS3 and 360. Between this and the remake of MGS3, it seems I'll finally be able to play the rest of the Metal Gear games I missed out on, as before the remake and Master Collections released, the only way I could have easily accessed them is via emulation. So it's nice to see Konami doing their due diligence to release these legendary games on more modern and easily accessible hardware, and allowing for more people than ever before to check out the series. Konami's second announcement is the one that really got me excited, as was for a brand new Castlevania game known as Castlevania Belmont's Curse. Right away, this game just looks absolutely stunning, and perfectly Castlevania, if that makes any sense. What I mean is that, despite looking quite a bit different from any entry before, this game's colors, shading, and mix of 2D and 3D elements all just fit the world of Castlevania perfectly, though it really isn't too surprising, given this title is a collaborative effort between Konami, as well as Evil Empire, who made the Rogue Prince of Persia, and Motion Twin, who made Windblown and Dead Cells. Funnily enough, both studios already got to have a taste of working on Castlevania with the Return to Castlevania DLC for Dead Cells in 2023, and I guess because of how well received that project was, it led to them getting to make a fully fledged new entry in the series. I really did love that DLC for Dead Cells, so knowing that both teams that helped create that experience, as well as the team behind the Rogue Prince of Persia, another modern day new entry in a long dormant franchise with equally gorgeous visuals like those we see here in Belmont's Curse, I just know that we're in for something special with this one, and I seriously cannot wait to get to play this one once it releases later this year. Nearing the end of our Konami Corner section, 4 years after it was first announced, we finally got a proper look at Silent Hill Townfall, which is also set to release later this year. I wasn't able to glean too many specifics about this game from just the new trailer, outside of it being in first person, but Konami held a Silent Hill transmission broadcast after the State of Play, which gave out more details. Namely, that this will be a fully self-contained entry in the franchise, like Silent Hill 2, and that it will take place against the backdrop of Scotland in 1996. I really enjoyed my playthroughs of both Silent Hill 1 and the remake of 2. My appreciation for them, and the series as a whole, has only grown ever since, so I'll most likely be checking this one out once it releases, as well as finally getting to Silent Hill F. Perhaps I'll finally play F upon the lead up to the release of Townfall, much like how I did with my playthrough of 1 leading up to the release of the Silent Hill 2 remake. Anyways, lastly from Konami, we saw the reveal of a brand new game, and IP in general, known as Rev Noir. Honestly, when watching this trailer, I thought that this might have been for a new game in the Tale series or something, as it wasn't immediately clear that it was still contained within the Konami section of the show, but it indeed was. And while we don't have too many details, or even a release window, I can confidently say that it looks like something I would very much enjoy. It's got that colorful, anime style I love, alongside some flashy third-person action combat, both of which combined make for an easy new addition to my radar. That wraps up the Konami segment of the State of Play, which means it's time to go over the final announcements of the show, both of which were very God of War flavored. So, not only are we getting a complete remake of the entire original trilogy of God of War games, we also got the announcement and shadow-dropped release of God of War Sons of Sparta, a brand new 2D action game that serves as a prequel to the series as a whole, detailing Kratos' life and time spent fighting as a Spartan before he got into the whole deicide thing. A great set of announcements to end the show on, no doubt. While it is unfortunate that we didn't get to see anything at all about the remakes, I suppose Santa Monica and Sony balance that potential disappointment out by both announcing and releasing a new game at the same time, so it's hard to complain really. It was also great to see T.C. Carson, the original voice actor for Kratos, hosting these announcements. I don't have a lot of personal experience or nostalgia for the Greek era games, but his work as Kratos is undeniably iconic, and it was fun to see him here. we'll presumably be hearing him much more again very soon in the remakes, as well as in Sons of Sparta, as he does reprise his role for the new game, which I certainly do want to get to, but it may have to wait a little bit, as I'm a bit busy with some other games right now and video work currently. With that God of War talk complete though, that should do it for all the highlights I wanted to cover from this latest State of Play. Overall, I'd say it was a pretty good showing. While most of the news and trailers were for games we already knew about, they were also exciting, with plenty of new gameplay, details, and even some release date confirmations, which are always nice to get. As for the wholly brand new game reveals, well, outside of the God of War trilogy remake being announced and the Sons of Sparta shadow drop, I imagine most of the other ones aren't exactly lighting the world on fire, but I was certainly pleased by them. The Kenna sequel is quite lovely. Belmont's Curse looks delicious. MGS4 on anything other than the PS3 is exciting, as is a wholly original and new IP from Konami with Rev Noir. And combined with everything else I already went over, I'd say that the State of Play was pretty good. But with all that being said, I think that'll do it for this video. If you made it to the end, I thank you for watching. Your continued viewership and support is greatly appreciated. I hope I was able to entertain, inform, and perhaps interest you in some games shown here that you may have missed or skipped over. And last, but certainly not least, as always, I'll see you next time.